Over the years, I've done quite a few videos, and the purpose of these videos has been to help educate anyone willing to listen so that they can not only avoid pitfalls in becoming an expat and living abroad, but also make the most out of the whole experience. Now, out of all the videos that I've done, this is the only one that I will begin by saying that if you follow the directions that I'm going to give you here, you could actually change your life in an incredible way. And we're talking specifically about finances and investing, setting up security for yourself if you decide to get married, setting up security for your Filipino wife, kids, for the future. What I share here with you is 26 years of experience that I have when it comes to investing. Now, I'll start with a disclaimer and tell you I was at one time a licensed financial planner in California. I'm not here to promote any particular investment or commodity, and understand that anytime you invest, there is a risk of losing your capital as well as the possibility of making gains and profit from it. What we're going to cover in this video is for educational purposes, which hopefully you can put to practice and improve your life position in a huge way. So getting into it, the question I have probably been asked more than any other is, how can I move full-time to live as an expat overseas? And I'm here to tell you, after getting to know so many expats, sitting down over coffee, and one of my common questions to anyone I meet is, what brought you to the Philippines? And how did it become possible for you? Now, for a lot of them, they waited until they got their retirement pension, their Social Security, but many of the guys that I meet are under age 62, as young as their mid-40s, their 50s, and they're already fully retired here because they took the time, educated themselves, took the risk, and invested in one form or another. And it's because of those investments that they don't need to work a full-time job. They're making enough on their investments that they have what I call bridge money. Enough money that they can comfortably live in the Philippines at roughly $1,500 a month or more. They have enough money to do that, to bridge them over until they do get their Social Security, their pension, or whatever. Because you don't want to live on a lump sum. That lump sum will eventually run out, unless you're talking about millions and millions of dollars, which if you have that much money, you probably are already very familiar with investing. Now, what a lot of guys have told me when I talked about investing, their first reaction is, I don't want to get involved with that. I don't know anything about it. That's like saying, I don't want to learn how to ride a bicycle because I don't know how to ride a bicycle. So what do? You educate yourself. Well, the first thing you want to learn is these three major avenues that many people have used successfully to increase their wealth, to take the small amount they have and multiply it over time so that they had a bigger nest egg to work with for their retirement, even an early retirement, as I just discussed. So the first one is real estate. And again, these may appeal to you based on how much working capital you have to work with right now, or in the near future, or savings that you have set aside. The first one is real estate. Now, I have quite a few buddies who have rental properties. They're in their 50s, and what they did was very simple and straightforward. Even when I was in junior high, I've worked for two different guys who basically flipped homes. They would buy the most beat up old house at a low price, put in the sweat equity by going in and cleaning it up, fixing the tile, fixing the plumbing, making it a nice, attractive place to live, repainting. Now, what I did in junior high and high school, I got paid by the hour to just scrape off old paint, load a bunch of stuff for the dump into the truck. I've torn down walls, you name it. I've done all kinds of stuff. But I didn't have any carpentry skills. My job was basically prepping the houses so that the contractors could come in and just get straight to work, really improving the condition of the home. Then what these guys would do is, and again, I'm just going to use ballpark figures. Let's say they buy a beat up old home for $150,000. Now, that doesn't mean they handed over $150,000. What they did was they used their credit, got a loan for that home. There's other ways of financing, but again, we won't get lost in the weeds on that. But they start making payments on this beat up old house that they buy for, let's just say, $150,000. They put maybe another $75,000 into cleaning it up, fixing the landscaping. And again, much of this they save money on by doing it themselves. When they're not at their day job, they're over there cleaning up the yard, putting in a lawn, learning how to do things like lay tile, put in a granite countertop. Again, this is all stuff you can learn on YouTube. Even if you've never done it before, don't be afraid to learn something new, because you're going to save a whole lot of money laying the bathroom tile yourself as opposed to paying someone else who already knows how to do it. Now, some things are beyond your capacity when it comes to electrical wiring, things like that. Leave it to the professionals. But you can see where this is going. By the time he's done fixing up this house, he has a realtor come in, give it an assessment, and they say, oh, this house is now worth $275,000 or whatever. Puts it on the market, sells it, pays off the original loan of $150,000, and then walks away with, who knows, anywhere from $100,000 or more. Now he can use that money to invest into the next house. And maybe he even gets two houses going at a time and gets to the point where he doesn't really need to sell the houses. They serve a better purpose as a rental for continued passive income. As long as that rental income is greater than the mortgage, he's coming out at a profit every month. And even if he breaks even, you can make the argument that this renter is paying off his loan on an asset in his name. Now, are you going to do this and 6 months later make enough money to move to the Philippines? No. It takes time. It takes work. It takes effort. But if you're willing to invest some money and some sweat equity into a home, you can flip a home. There's plenty of videos out there. There's some bad ones, but there's guys who have done this successfully and in a sane, responsible manner all over YouTube that can teach you the finer details of how to finance and fix up real estate to make a profit. Again, I have buddies that do this. They have 2-3 homes back in the States that they rent out. Now, the second avenue might appeal to those of you who are saying, I don't have the money to put a down payment on a house. I'm not in physical condition to be ripping up tile. That's not for me. Okay, well, the second option is to invest what you can currently. Like, you could start doing this by business day tomorrow. And that is investing into the S&P or an ETF or an index fund. All of these are available with any investment bank. You can go to Schwab, you can go to Fidelity, you can go to Chase. They have ETFs, S&P index. Again, you can just do a little bit of research on each of these three, S&P, ETFs, and index funds. You can go online on YouTube. There are guys that devote themselves to educating people on which one is perhaps the safest avenue for you. Every investment you do, you're going to do what's called a risk-benefit analysis. That may sound complicated, but it's not. You're basically looking at how much risk am I taking and how much benefit could I gain in this investment. Now, there are those who swear by the S&P. You put 20%, 10%, 15%, whatever you feel comfortable with. Every payday, you put money into the S&P. Or you pick an index fund that's focused on, say, 30 different stocks, and they're all in the tech sector. AI is a big deal right now. Maybe you want to do some research on that. There are index funds for hotel chains, for the food industry, anything you can think of. There's an index fund that focuses on that niche, and you can invest in it equally across the board with whatever amount you feel comfortable with. Again, I have a lot of guys tell me, I don't have thousands of dollars to invest. Put in $50. Start somewhere. There's an old saying that the best time to have planted a tree was 10 years ago. But the next best time to plant a tree is today. Start today. Even if it's $50, $100, put it into something that is going to produce some gains for you. Because that $50 that you blow on Starbucks or movie tickets or this or that, it's gone. You're never going to see that money again. And even if you take that $50 and put it into a savings account, you're lucky if you maybe get 1% on that. But then you have to remember, letting that $50 sit there in a savings account for 1 year, you have to counter it with the rate of inflation. That $50 might only be worth $48 a year later. So really, it's just like an ice cube melting on the sidewalk when you stick money in a savings account. It's better than pissing it away, but not by much. If you have anything that goes beyond your necessary budget for the month, your thought process should be, where can I invest this extra money? How can I cut back wasteful spending in my own budget? I have a buddy of mine, and he was spending quite a bit of money. We're talking hundreds of dollars a month in Starbucks. And he and I got to talking about ways that he could save money. And he was the one who said, you know what I got to do? I got to go down to Costco and buy myself one of those fancy coffee makers where you just pop in the little Starbucks cup and whatever. He goes, I can still have the same quality coffee, but it'll cost me a lot less making it at home. Not to mention the gas he's spending to go to the Starbucks. And that's what he did. And now he's saving money. He's still spending more than I do on coffee, but he's saving money from the hundreds he was spending before. So look for ways that you can save money and then redirect that money into something that is an investment. So the great thing about the S&P, an ETF, or an index fund is it's a very low entry point. You could go in there with $100. And if you do it consistently and leave it in there, you make gains and you let those gains roll over. Pretty soon, you're talking about exponential growth. Your money is growing larger rather than just sitting in a savings account, which is not going to do a whole lot more than sticking it in a mayonnaise jar and putting it under your bed. Now, the third avenue for investment is for those who are a bit tech savvy, are willing to learn from others. Again, there's plenty of YouTube channels out there that focus on cryptocurrency. Now, as I mentioned before, you have to decide what is your tolerance level when it comes to risk. Crypto is very volatile. And what I mean by that is the S&P, it'll move a little here, it'll move a little there, week by week. It kind of plods along. Every once in a while, when there's news about a war or something, it might take a dip. Again, you want to learn strategies. Use those dips to your advantage. That is the time to do more purchasing when the price dips, because you know it's going to pull back later. When it comes to crypto, there is a lot more volatility. It may go up and down anywhere from 8 to 12% in one 24-hour period. Now, that provides a whole lot of opportunity to lose money or to make money. But the only way you're going to make money is if you educate yourself. So again, if you're willing to take on higher risk for a greater, faster benefit, and you are a bit tech savvy where you know how to keep track of passwords, you know how to use apps, crypto might be the avenue for you. if you're not very tech savvy, if you're constantly losing your passwords, if you're not willing to learn about the crypto market cycles, I would recommend stay away from it. You'll get eaten alive. But if you're willing to educate yourself from others who have experience in the crypto market, the amount of money you can make is truly life-changing. There's no other way to put it, but it does come with a greater amount of risk. Now, the next thing I want to share with you, I've already touched on, and it's the issue of educating yourself. I believe it's an old Greek proverb that says something like, nothing of great value ever came without much effort. You got to put some effort into it. You got to be willing to learn things that you don't know about. You need to learn about market cycles, how public news events are opportunities to make money. When is the right time to buy and when is the right time to sell? How to short a commodity so that you can actually make money on it when it drops down on bad news. You need to be able to stay in touch with various metrics and information that's publicly available to understand, are we currently in a bull market where most commodities are going up in value, or are we in a bear market? You also need to learn about how the Fed Reserve decisions, whether they decide to remain neutral on interest rates, raise interest rates, or lower interest rates. Not only what is the probability of what's coming up on their next decision, but how that will affect your portfolio and the commodities that you want to buy more of. Then you will know the right time to buy and the right time to sell. So there are a lot of principles that you want to learn. You don't want to just say, I'm going to go invest, and then you just start dumping money in something that you don't even know about. Which brings me to another part of this whole education process. Invest in what you know. That's a basic principle. You don't invest in something blindly. Don't go put a bunch of money in silver just because somebody told you so. Or some software company that's coming out with some software. Well, is that software really going to boost a lot of sales or not? Is this something you would use? Is this something that the public in general would use? Who's their competition? Do what's called a deep dive. You can get on ChatGPT or Grok and you can tell it, tell me everything about such and such company. Tell me about the hotel sector. Is it doing well or not? Tell me about index funds in real estate. That's a way to get into real estate. $200 at a time. But is right now a good time to do that? Well, again, look at the interest rates, look at the amount of inventory that's out there. Are people buying right now or are people selling? You don't want to go and put money into a house, even if it's fractionalized, if home prices are dropping because people can't afford the mortgages. Also, you want to know where those homes are. Maybe home sales are really hot in Kansas, but they're really slow and stagnating in Los Angeles. You want to know everything you can about what you're investing in. Now, if you're willing to put in the time and you're willing to put in the effort, you can make some smart decisions. But if you start blindly throwing money into investments that you know nothing about, that you have not researched, you'd be better off just going to the casino and throwing some money on the roulette table. Too many people treat investing as if it was a casino. These are the people that invest in things that they have not made themselves familiar with. They have not taken the time to understand the principles of investing. Again, market cycles and bull and bear seasons and shorting, etc. These are the people who just throw money into something, they lose their money, and then they say, oh, it's all a scam, it's all a Ponzi scheme. No, they simply didn't put the brain work into understanding what they're investing in so that they could make good decisions at the proper time. So I can't stress it enough. If you're going to get into crypto, start learning everything about it. If you're going to start flipping homes, learn everything about it. If you're going to start investing little by little into the S&P, an ETF, or an index fund, learn everything about it. It's all there on YouTube. There are websites devoted to this. The information is there for free. Don't go paying somebody hundreds of dollars, some guru on flipping houses. You don't need to do that. The information is out there. There are people who have done it successfully who simply want to share with others how they too can improve their life. And they're not selling a course. They're not making money off of it. They simply want to help other people. Now, the final thing, if you're still here on this video and you're still serious about changing your life by investing whatever little you have, what I'm about to finally cover, I've saved for those of you who are serious about changing your life. And it's probably one of the most core reasons why people either end up broke or incredibly wealthy through their investment strategy. And it's this: master your emotions. Investing is not about, oh, I'm going to buy this. I've got a feeling that it's just going to go up. I've been staring at charts for 3 hours. It's just inevitable. It's going to go up. That is not investing. That is voodoo at best, and it'll get you wrecked. There are two emotions that you need to master over yourself in order to become successful in investing. Those two emotions are greed and fear. And I'll explain how this works. With greed, a person, whoever it is, they put money into an investment, doesn't matter how much, and then they start checking the charts every day. Number one, if you're going to make money in investing, buy and hold. Do not buy it and sell it 24 hours later. That's not how you make money. That's chasing after chump change, and your luck's going to run out. You're going to lose money jumping in and out of the market. It's been proven statistically time and again, the majority of people who jump in and out of the market on a daily or weekly basis end up losing their capital. So you want to, number one, buy and hold for investing. Now, what is a good strategy? Number one, get your emotions in check. Take it out of the equation. You do not buy, you do not sell based on how fearful you're feeling or how greedy you're feeling. You do not do that. That's how you lose money. How do you make money? Again, you exercise patience, you have a strategy, and you stick to that plan. What is your strategy? Very simple. It's so simple, it's comical. And yet, people miss it. You want to know how to make money on any investment? Doesn't matter if you're selling mangoes on the side of the street or flipping houses or flipping crypto. You want to know how you make money? It's this simple. Buy low, sell high. It's that simple. And people cannot do it. They buy when the price is going up in what's called FOMO, fear of missing out. Ooh, this is going up. I got to buy it. I got to buy it. Well, everybody else that already had their position, once it gets to a certain point, those holders decide to sell and it goes down. And again, out of fear, people then go, oh, I don't want to lose more money. I'm going to sell it at a loss. If they keep repeating that process, they're going to chip away their capital 10% at a time until they've got nothing left. So I can't stress enough. Do not let fear and greed rule your decisions. Instead, you want to tell yourself when you buy something, I'm going to hold on to this at least for 6 months to a year. I'm going to learn how to dollar cost average. And the way you do that, you buy it today at, say, $10. If you wake up tomorrow and it dropped to $8, you don't panic and sell it. You buy more. Because remember, you're buying assets. You don't want to buy assets when they're more expensive. You want to buy assets when they're on sale. You need to look at that drop in asset value as an opportunity to buy the same exact asset at a discount. The price dropped 10%? Great, that's a 10% discount. Buy some more and then hold on to it. And what happens is, if you understand averages, you make 5 different purchases at 5 different prices, but each time you bought when the price went down a little bit, even if it's climbing and only drops back a little. This is what's called DCA, dollar cost averaging. Now, instead of this costing you, say, $10 per share or $10 per coin, with dollar cost averaging, you might bring that down to $8.50 for every share or every coin. And meanwhile, if it's doing well and it's selling for $12, because you dollar cost average, because you bought it when it was on sale, you have a bigger profit margin on the current market price for your commodity. Now, could the market go down? Could it keep just dropping and dropping? Yes, it could. But again, this is why you need to understand not only market cycles, but you need to understand how interest rates affect the overall market. You need to look at the history, for instance, of the Dow, the S&P, and say to yourself, how has this performed over the last 50 years? Well, it's had its ups, it's had its downs, but it's always gone up. So time is your friend. If you're going to invest in a commodity like a stock, a crypto, an index fund, an ETF, you need to be patient. You need to be in it. Like I said, when you buy something, you're telling yourself, I'm not selling this for another 6 months to a year. I'm in this for the long run. And that $50 you put in every paycheck, eventually you go, maybe I can put $100 in per paycheck, and I'll buy when the price goes down, when it's on sale, because you've done your homework, you know what you're investing in. And yes, there's always things you don't know. There's the black swan event that could come out of nowhere, but that's life. If you're going to make gains, you need to take mitigated risks that you have reduced to your greatest ability with knowledge. If you're willing to do that and be patient and make your buy and sell decisions on the market cycle and what's going on in the market, you'll make money. If you buy and sell based on your fear and your greed, I guarantee you will lose money. So this is not a magic button where you just put money in, number go up, and you walk away with a profit. Do not get the idea that that's how investing works. The way this works is every time a commodity is sold, whether it is a stock or a crypto coin, every time it is bought and sold on any moment of the day, one person is making money, another person is losing money. I used to ask myself, how are these people getting so rich? Where's this money coming from? It's coming from people that bought high and sold low. All that money has to go somewhere, and it goes to people that buy low and sell high. It's that simple. So to wrap up, if you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to get your emotions under control, if you're willing to educate yourself and start small, you will be amazed. I know so many people who started years ago, began investing into whether it was real estate or ETFs or index funds. Now they're living off just the dividends or crypto. I mean, you probably heard about the phrase crypto millionaire. There are guys who have made and lost fortunes by taking a whole lot of risk. And the difference between those who succeed and those who go down in flames comes down to education and self-control. You do those two things, and you could literally change your life by investing your money rather than pissing it away on something that is not going to increase in value.